Call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. Welcome everybody this morning. Happy New Year. First court meeting of night 2013. Bob Gifford is asked to address the court this morning. Mr. Gifford.
Yes, Judge. First of all, with our Delta Regional monies that we have for Sanitation District Number 1, the improvements to Aurora Sanitation plant and the lift stations, Delta Regional requires us to have a contract with an engineer on this project for their funding. I presented to you all a contract with Paul Cloud, who's already done the preliminary engineering. It's a standard contract that only does an hourly rate, and as you know, with all our other projects we use Paul with, it saves us money. Some engineering firms can charge up to 12.5%. We're averaging somewhere a little under 5% for all our projects. So my recommendation would be for the court to adopt the agreement between Marshall County Fiscal Court and Paul Cloud Engineering for SX 21157030, and that is the Sanitation District Number 1.
You heard the recommendation of Mr. Gifford. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion, Judge.
We have a motion to approve the agreement between Marshall County Fiscal Court and Paul Cloud Engineering. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, Judge, I have a pay request for this project, which is engineering cost to date, which is project SX 21157030 in the amount of $3,247 to Paul Cloud Engineering, that I will submit to Delta Regional for payment to him.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve payment.
I have a motion to approve. Second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, Judge, I have another draw request, and this is for the Brewers Booster Station, and that is project WX 21157050, and it is the amount of $10,800. And if you'll look on, and it is to Robert Collins at Electric, in the amount of $11,800. I only have, if I do the draw out of this for $10,800, that leaves me with $44 in the account. So I'm going to draw on this same invoice from two different funds. But for this fund, my request is for $10,800, and that is from KIA Fund B 10-03, in the amount of $10,800 for a partial total of the $11,800 from Robert Collins Electric.
You heard the request. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve payment.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Judge.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, no. Don't get ahead of yourself, Mr. Gifford.
Sorry, Judge.
Motion carries.
To finish out this payment of $11,800, I've requested a draw of $1,000 to WX 21157046, and I've attached a letter in there to you all, and for the auditor's sake and Emily's sake, to understand why that I had the same invoice and two different pay requests, and it just explains that I didn't have enough money in one to pay all of it. So the request for this is $1,000, and it goes to finish out the bill to Robert Collins Electric for $11,800.
You heard the request. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve payment.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Bobby, what's the status of the booster station at this point?
As soon as I get the additional funds that you all have approved for, to do the telemetry, the minute I get that in the bank, we will, or they tell us we can make a draw, I will allow them to, put the telemetry in and we'll be ready to go. But I just don't feel comfortable in telling them to go on and do it until we know, till we get it on the dotted line.
Gotcha.
Anything else, Judge? Thank you.
Anyone else to address the court? All right, let's move into correspondence from the Division of Emergency Management. The Kentucky Division of Emergency Management is pleased to announce Marshall County's Emergency Management Performance Grant allocation for the federal year 2013 in the amount of $20,711.53. Emergency management assistance, EMA allocations are intended to support the development and maintenance of effective emergency management local agencies. 3 categories of expenditures will be 50% reimbursable during FY 2013, personal salaries, office administrative support, vehicle training, and meeting support. This was signed by John Heltzel, General John Heltzel of the Division of Emergency Management. From the Environmental Protection Agency, my staff has reviewed the Marshall County 2013-2017 Area Solid Waste Management Plan Update, which was prepared in accordance with KRS 224-43-340 and submitted to the Division of Waste Management on August the 30th, 2012. I'm pleased to inform you that the division hereby grants approval of your plan. Please advise the incorporated cities in Marshall County accordingly. The Marshall County 109 Board, designated as the governing body, shall be responsible for implementing the plan as submitted and shall use the plan as a basis for local solid waste management decisions. Should an amendment to the plan be necessary, the county must contact the division regarding amendment procedures. I congratulate your advisory committee and board on the completion of your plan. My staff will continue to work with your county and the implementation of your plan. Please feel free to call Lisa Evans for any assistance. This is from Anthony Hatton, the Director of the Division of Waste Management. From the Association of Tennessee Valley Governments, it looks as though, and we got this yesterday from Mike Arms, the chairman of our ATVG group, the Senate has confirmed 4 Obama appointments to the TVA board. We do have one from Kentucky, and I hope I pronounce his name right, Peter Mahurin. He's the chairman of a financial services firm in Bowling Green. Mike McWhorter, son of former Governor Ned McWhorter of Dresden, Tennessee, has also been appointed from Tennessee, and V. Lynn Evans, a Memphis accountant, and Joe Rich, a Huntsville, Alabama attorney. So we do now have a quorum on the TVA board, so they can conduct business. There for a while, we went several months without a quorum on the board. Also from Clayton Clem, the Vice President of the Electric Systems Projects for TVA, says, "Dear elected officials, the Tennessee Valley Authority is planning a power system improvement project in Marshall and Grave counties in Kentucky. We are also mailing letters to those whose property may be affected. TVA proposes to upgrade the Marshall-Golo-Mayfield transmission line. The update would consist of structural and conductor modifications, including the addition of some structures. The work would require equipment access to and or along the right-of-way. Our schedule is to begin construction on April of 2014 and have it completed by June of 2014. In January and February 2013, TVA will conduct environmental surveys for the transmission line rights-of-way and the proposed construction access routes to provide information for design and construction." This is from Clayton Clem. I'm assuming they will contact all of the landowners that are going to be affected in Marshall and Graves County on that upgrade. Let's move into old business. You've all received the minutes of the December 18, 2012 meeting of the Fiscal Court. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of the meeting? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes,
I have
Judge.
a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. We have been talking about a vacancy in District 2 for the job of constable. Mr. Attorney, you've done research on this, and I believe it's your findings that Commissioner Anderson would be in charge of all necessary arrangements to.
Close.
Close but no cigar. I can't get by with it, Terry.
I stated my case already.
I sent you all an email and attached the statute and the constitutional provision relating to this, which appears to require that these positions, the elective offices be filled, just as it would if it remains on the ballot. So, and there's also a Attorney General's opinion that states that it is necessary to fill those positions because it's the constitutional office.
I was kidding. It does state that the county judge executive, but Terry and I will sit down and talk about this. Terry and I think we're both of the opinion would leave it vacant till the next election, but apparently we can't do that. According to what we found in the law, it says is mandatory and requires him to act with reasonable haste. Now, I don't know what reasonable haste is. I don't suppose we could go another year and a half. That wouldn't be reasonable haste. I don't know, Terry, but we'll sit down and talk about it.
We can think about it a while, can't
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
we? Well, we've been vacant for the last, 2 years at least?
2 years, yes.
So,
Because nobody ran for the office, isn't that correct? I do have, and people have shown interest, and we'll look at them and if we want to do anything.
so Jeff, in the event that no one, like in this last election, when no one ran, should we not have appointed someone immediately?
Well, the
Well, if no
difference
one's
then and now is
Never
that
brought up.
no one was seeking to be appointed either. And, it doesn't go back to say that you have to go out and recruit somebody to put them in a position that doesn't pay anything and really has no duties. So it's an archaic statute, and what you're dealing with now is the fact that it is a constitutionally created office, and it applies the same as any other office.
And I don't know if we have any deputies that live in District 2 or not. I thought about that, Kevin. I was going to talk to you about it later. And I don't know if that would be a violation of the law to appoint an acting deputy as constable. I don't know.
You can't.
Couldn't do it?
No.
Well, you shot that idea down, Sheriff.
Can't do it.
Okay, Terry and I'll get together and we'll work on that. Administrative Code Work Session, what date would, the court be available to do that? Russell and I will be in Lexington next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the Kentucky Transportation Kentuckians for Better Transportation meeting. That's what it is, yeah. But if you'd like to do it the 15th after the court meeting.
Fine with me, whatever suits everyone else.
We've got a couple of things I want to go over, but
Yeah,
That's fine with me.
we've got
That's the same time as the expanded
planning
jurisdiction meeting,
jurisdiction, we've got that scheduled for them.
For what time?
That's right.
1:30.
Says 1:30.
How long you think that'll take? Jeff, do you have a clue?
I don't.
Josh, do you
I
have
don't
any
know.
idea how long that'll take?
Wendy.
Or Wendy, do you know, hon? Who do you have scheduled to come, Wendy?
His name is Frank Wallace, who's coming, and he does the expanded jurisdiction for Lyon County and Hopkins County, and then he's a contractor for a few other local counties. And then he has some ties with the state as well, so he said he would come and
Was that
talk to
1
you guys.
o'clock?
So I would think 30, 45 minutes to cover that next discussion.
And that's set for 1:30?
1:30, yes.
We could set it for 2:30.
It's fine with me.
Okay, let's, if it's no objection, we'll set that for 2:30. 1:30 will be the code. Okay. At our last meeting of the fiscal court, we had the first reading. Where's my ordinance? We had the first reading of ordinance 2012-9. It's an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court has received additional funds, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for the fiscal year 2012-2013 is amended to increase the revenue account, the energy efficiency grant of $7,647.13, animal shelter spay neuter grant $1,800, ambulance grant for $40,600, travel reimbursement $112.29, insurance proceeds $13,410.22, telephone reimbursement $660, juvenile reimbursement $925, Water Vision 2020 grant $19,775, road department surplus property $774, FEMA 1818 distribution $12,399.20, Opal Lane road work $120,000, state funded paving projects $340,000, workman's comp reimbursement $19,181, jail contract with other counties $12,000, making a total revenue increase of $589,283.84. The amount added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2012-09. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. It's going to be 13. You need this?
I do.
No, you do.
Copy of it after, please.
Okay. Next, we have a bid opening on surplus property that was advertised in the paper of record. Marshall County Fiscal Court will accept bids on the following items: a 1989 Chevy C20 pickup. It's white. Vehicle can be seen at the Marshall County Rescue Squad, 201 Ash Street, Benton. Vehicle sold as is, no warranty available. Winning bidder must pick up the item within 10 days of the sale. All bids must be submitted to the Marshall County Fiscal Court, 1101 Main, Benton, by 9 a.m. December 20th, 2012. Bids should be eligible in written form with signature, address, and phone number of the person making the bid. Marshall County Fiscal Court reserves the right to reject any and all bids. Oh, we have a bid come in. We have one bid. The bid on the Chevy truck by Universal Auto is $350. $350, that's the only bid we received. What's your pleasure?
About junk price. I don't know if it's junk or not.
Is anyone here from the entity to speak on behalf of the property?
It's,
I checked with Melissa this morning, and she said that, she figured anything over 300 would be a good price for it, because
Okay.
it's,
Okay.
Good enough.
Motion to accept the bid, then, Judge.
have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Award bid. You got a phone number in there, you can reach it, whoever it was.
thank you.
Next, we had a public hearing on December the 18th regarding the two projects, first being Opal Lane. The road viewers made their report. We had people here to speak in favor of. The people of Opal Lane voluntarily raised $120,000 to have the road blacktopped as soon as the plant opens again in the spring. It's my recommendation that we accept Opal Lane in the Marshall County road system. What's your pleasure?
Motion to accept.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Since you all have approved that, well, Anita's already been working very diligently getting the deed for the right-of-way to clear all that up. And we're gonna forward that as well as instructions to get the signature so that we know, we feel certain that the right-of-ways will belong to the county and we can go forward.
Well, since we've taken it into the system, there is some maintenance work that needs to be done. Of course, we're going into the winter months. Snow removal and those type things are now eligible to be taken care of by the road department. So as soon as we can get all that cleared up, the better.
Yeah.
Our other public hearing was on Samuel Drive. We did have, I believe, written comments. I don't know that there was anyone here present to speak for or against, but it does meet all of our conditions. We had one written comment from Sissy Womack, and so it's our recommendation that the fiscal court accepts Samuel Drive into the Marshall County Road Maintenance System. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I'm sorry, Misty, you
I recused.
recused, didn't you? Okay, because Misty lives on that road, and
It was not my request.
She was not.
For the record.
Now, Misty, you wore me
It was
out.
not my request. Not.
No, Misty had nothing to do with that. This request came in from, the developer. I suppose they developed that, I don't know. But anyway, it met all of our requirements. At the last meeting, we talked about the Division of Fish and Wildlife wanting a memorandum of agreement request. It appeared to us that we were committing ourselves to a lot of stuff, and they really wasn't committing to anything. Jeff, have you had a opportunity to look at
I
that?
started working on a letter, and there were so many concerns that I had, so to speak, that I thought, well, I'm just gonna call this fella and find out if he can explain if their intention is, you know, that we do it all, then let's just say that rather than, you know, this so-called agreement. Well, I put a call into him, he was out right before the holidays, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So what I would like to do is, I'll talk with him and then document that conversation and provide that to you.
Okay.
Because the reason I say that is that we've never had any issues like this with Fish and Wildlife. I mean, this is not anything that I've seen in my years here that have ever been demanded of us or requested of us, so to speak. So that's the reason I'd like to find out if this fellow, you know, if they want to stick to their guns on this. I want to be able to tell you that for sure, that I've talked to him.
We've talked about the building electrical inspection update. We'll be having that meeting at the afternoon of the next regular session of the fiscal court. I'd like to have an executive session to talk to you about one matter real quickly. Well, before we do that, let's go judicial operating costs of the judicial facility. We've been informed that since we made the changes of moving some people around down there, that we have been cut $36,377.04 from our reimbursement from AOC. We were afraid that was going to happen, and so we'll just have to adjust. Do you want to expand on that? You talked to them about it.
AOC comes in and audits to make sure that they've paid us enough, or not too much in this case. And when we made some personnel changes down at the judicial building, that changed what, we already were in agreement with them. They paid us so much quarterly. Well, when we made those changes mid-year, it threw off our calculations. So they did wind up overpaying us by this amount here. So what they will do is they pay us quarterly for the judicial building. I got in this quarter's payment, the second quarter's payment, and it's shorted by almost, it's about $14,000. They split it. We'll take half of the shortage now and then half of the shortage at our March payment, when we get that March payment. So we can expect that line item to be about $36,000 short.
Okay.
Emily, will that not be offset by the savings?
No.
No, because this is for last year's that they have already paid us for.
They're
The
getting the
judicial center-
estimate back.
Yeah, our portion is only 20% of that. And so what they do is they pay us their 80% throughout the year. Well, this is last year's figures where they determined that they paid us too much.
Gotcha.
And it'll be in the coming years less I mean, we'll catch, I
This
mean,
year, we shouldn't have this situation next year's audit for this calendar year, because I knew about those changes in advance, and when we came.
we already
When
lowered.
I called the AOC and requested that they lower what they determined they were gonna start paying us, so that we wouldn't be in this situation next year also.
I thought they paid off reports. Did they not do that with you, Sheriff?
Excuse me?
Do you not submit for your officers in the judicial building a report?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, how did this happen?
This is different from what that is. This is based off of, janitorial maintenance.
Yeah, but exactly the same as when I was sheriff, though, I would submit a report of hours worked. I think Kevin does the same. So how did we, when we submitted hours worked, how did that happen?
We don't submit
We
hours.
don't submit hours, they
Submit
come,
any at all?
no,
No,
what
they
they do
come
is
in.
come down and audit, Terry, once a year.
Yeah, annually.
Once a year for each of the judicial buildings. And then they determine,
So it kind of was an oversight on our part too. We needed to have reported that we made that change, and we didn't.
Yeah, in hindsight, we should have called them, and told them we've made this change. Can
We
we
just need to
amend
remember.
that contract
I mean,
and take
we're
less?
we're just gonna get cut either way.
Right, sure, I
I mean,
understand.
it's,
Yeah.
all right. I'd like to have a quick executive session
Motion going executive
for
session.
personnel. Is there a second?
Second.
Be an executive session. Call the court back into regular session. We were discussing the position of deputy dog warden. We have five, was it five?
6, I think now.
I think we.
Well, it was poll one.
Okay. Yeah.
5 applicants. We've asked the county attorney's office to do a background check, and we will, going to interview, what day did we decide on?
Monday, the 14th.
Monday, the 14th, we'll be conducting interviews, which will be prior to our court meeting the next day. So we'll begin those interviews at 4 and try to spend about 15, 20 minutes with each one of the applicants and make a decision the next day at the regular meeting of the court. Any other old business? All right, let's move into new business. Emily, you have a suggestion on electronic retirement payment?
Yes, the Kentucky Retirement System offers an electronic payment option where they do like an e-check online. And they had a representative come down and talk to us, and I've always been hesitant about those things just for our auditing purposes. But this is actually an electronic check. It processes it like a check. And we are gonna go ahead and, assuming you all approve this, we'll actually print a paper copy of the check, and then just for our records, Judge and I will still sign the check, but then got that off and void it. But this would eliminate the possibility of, if a payment gets lost in the mail or something like that, the retirement system are big sticklers and they will still charge us that fine. So it would eliminate that possibility. And just to be on the safe side for auditors' purposes, I just ask you all to approve us using that electronic payment option.
And we're talking between $148,000 and $160,000 about every month, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's a little higher depending on overtime and things like that.
So it's a big expenditure. This will just be a safeguard for the treasurer's office and for us.
But that fine is very hefty, minimum $1,000.
Yep.
You just need a motion, Emily?
Motion approved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second.
What happens when the computers are down? Do we
You don't
know?
get paid.
We don't want to know that.
You might ought to ask, just
Tony
be
Express.
sure, but I mean, there's,
Well, we have until the 10th
fine
to
with
get
it.
it there for the end of the following month, and we generally start on it before, right after we finish payroll, so we usually have at least a 6-day grace period, but like this month, on account of holidays and stuff, Karen finished it yesterday, so we're actually sending a paper check this month, but next month we'll start the electronic payment process.
we don't, sometimes
They don't
don't
care.
think
They
that can
wouldn't
happen, but
care.
it does occasionally.
Yeah, they don't care what your situation is, like, I believe they even charged, the counties that had the tornado come through, I believe they even charged them.
So if something like the ice storm happened.
Yeah, they don't care. They do not care.
Can you opt and send a paper check if you need to, if for some reason you're electronic
Yes,
making it?
yes,
So you
it's our
have a
choice
backup?
how to,
Okay.
how to
Okay.
send
That
it.
satisfied?
That's what I mean by some
Okay.
kind of backup.
Okay, I understand what you mean.
Some reason, you know, something that we can do
As long as
reasonably.
they
Yes,
get payment.
yeah.
Yes.
We,
If we have to drive
we
it
have
up
a
there
choice, yeah.
for
That's what, I've been
$1,000.
in that situation before where I thought I was gonna have to leave at 2 o'clock or something and make a trip up there, just once.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. You received a copy of the sheriff's budget. Give you time between now and the next meeting to review, ask any questions that you have. I've looked over it just quickly. Everything looks in order, and, but if you have any questions, well, we'll take action on it at the next meeting of the court. I think you all got a copy in your box this morning.
I have a copy. Are there any changes in it, Sheriff?
It's just some, just
Just the,
taking from here and putting here, I mean.
just the basic, the 3% increase that they recommend do. That's, you know, that we do every year whenever we do our budget. You know, the governor's office, you know, says always try to include that into it, and that's basically all. It's exactly the same as last year, more or less, with just the normal increase that we do. I mean, exactly the same.
Just look it over, and if you got any questions, why?
Hey, you need to send in, don't you?
Well, it's got to be submitted by the 15th.
That's when we meet.
Can you do it that day? I mean, if it's approved on the
If
15th?
we can get it in the mail just as quickly as.
It's gotta
we
be
get it.
postmarked on the
Yeah,
fifteenth,
it's
right,
gotta be,
Kev?
it's gotta
Yeah.
be there by the 15th, yeah.
Yeah. All right, you've had an opportunity to review the bills. I hear a motion to pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other business come before the court?
We got our new sign truck in yesterday. And also, I'd like to thank the refuge department for coming, helping us out during the snow. We had about 8 people out sick, and they come and help us out.
We had a flu epidemic hit the road department. 3 of them, I think, ended up in the emergency room. One ended up with pneumonia, and refuge department sent 8 guys, right, Russell? 8 guys over to help us during the snow. You guys did a good job. Of course, the snow was kind of wet and easy to plow, and Russell and I have been talking about, and it's not for today, but I'll just tell you what Russ and I have been talking about is an area, if we're gonna continue to use the brine, we're trying to get some prices together on what it would take to build a containment area, which is required. We just don't know the thickness of the concrete and some of those details we're trying to find out, and put a tank there if we're gonna continue to use that brine. It seems to work pretty well, doesn't it, Russ?
Yeah, everybody, just
What
about
kind of
everybody's
tank
going
you talking
to.
about using?
Do what?
What kind of tank?
Just
Fiberglass or
your polyurethane.
poly? But just you might look at fiberglass or a poly containment. Some of them will come with a containment actually with them, or you can buy them. Might be cheaper than concrete.
Concrete.
Yeah, and it'd hold up to that salt, probably better. Just check on it.
There are just requirements that we have to meet in order to have one on the property. That's what we're looking into. But we'll get back with you. If we decide to go this route, we'll put it in the upcoming budget for the road department. Also, I would ask that the fiscal court members be thinking about and making your priorities for blacktop for the coming year. The roads that you feel like are in the most need of resurfacing, so that we can adequately plan for our road budget for next year. Like to have it, no great rush, but we need it so we can adequately plan our road budget for next year. the General Assembly will be going back into session next week. I've talked to Representative Coursey this morning. Of course, some of the major issues, and it's a short session, but they're gonna have to deal with the retirement system, they're gonna have to deal with redistricting, with those two big items. I don't know what else is gonna be on the plate. However, there is a good possibility, according to what I've read in the paper, that they may have to have an extraordinary session just to deal with these two issues alone, because they're very complex. Also, they've got the Tax Reform Committee will be making their recommendations to the General Assembly. What did they call that? Tax modernization or something, I don't know. But there was a committee headed up by the Lieutenant Governor to make recommendations to the General Assembly. So there will be, I'm sure your Magistrates Commissioners Association has a legislative committee. I know we do. I serve on ours. And our first meeting, I believe, is coming up pretty soon, maybe week after next, or maybe next week. But the 16th. Okay, so we'll try to keep everybody informed as bills are introduced in this short session. Any other business come before the court? If not, yep, I'm sorry, Ken.
Have y'all decided, because you was talking about the dog warden, which direction y'all are gonna go with that? Because I know there was a question at one time, possibly law enforcement coming into play on that. Have y'all made any decision on which direction y'all are going with that?
Yeah. I still think it would be a good idea. It's just where I stand. Could you maybe submit some sort of a proposal that we could review?
Yeah.
Kind of what it would take for you all to handle that?
I can do that, and I do have some suggestions, and like I said, I'll talk to y'all about that on possibility of, which direction to go with it or whatnot.
I know Bob had some concerns about whether or not it would put an undue burden on the agency, considering.
Well, I do agree with him on that, because I think he made the comment on one of the meetings that I missed that, we'd rather have us out with, the traffic crashes, the burglaries, the thefts and things such as that. But, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done and help out, but, I do agree with that, and we're doing it anyway.
That was kind of my point. Our problem is duplication. You all answered over 500 calls. You all and the other agencies over 500 calls, so it's being duplicated. So in my opinion, either we have properly trained animal control officers or you all take it.
Yeah, for example, I did the numbers for the whole year. We had 290 just in the
Just
sheriff's
for your
office
agency.
alone, yes. But like I said, I didn't know if you all still had
Do you
discussion on that.
290 calls or 290 responses?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 290 calls come in that we actually responded to the sheriff's office.
And I think it was almost 600 between yours, Calvert's, and
Yeah.
Benton's. I think we could almost eliminate that, other than just the arrestable offenses, which are minimal if we had
Well-
animal control officers that are trained in that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, that's, when we say animal control, are we talking all animals, or are we just talking dogs and cats? It's logistics, but.
It could be all, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. So you're not out wrangling a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Any other business come before the court?
On the 14th, are we going to, are we going to have a special meeting for those interviews? On the 14th, we talked about earlier?
Yes, of course, we'll go into executive session for the interview since it's personnel, but it will have to be a regular meeting since we'll be together.
The reason I was asking that, Judge, is because he needs to turn that to the 15th, could that be added to the agenda as well, to consider his budget on the 14th?
On the 14th, sure.
And just take a moment to do that.
Sure.
And that would give him that one day to get that in by
Yeah,
the 15th.
good idea, okay.
That'd be good.
Make a note of that, so we'll do that. Any other business? Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.